put the brakes on before you could start it.
Hey beauties, and welcome back to my channel. So I have here a very talked about palette. I actually purchased this the other day when I was at Sephora kind of shopping around. I have seen so many reviews on this palette. I've seen so many things on the internet about this palette, and I had to get it myself and give it a try because wow, I have just seen a lot of bad things about this, and I really wanted to give you guys my opinion on it. But first of all, I wanted to say this. I have no affiliation, or I do not work with the company Anastasia Beverly Hills currently. I've never been reposted by them. I have never received a product from them. So this review, so to say, is very honest because I have no reason to say that this is a great palette. I have no reason to say that this is a horrible palette. I feel like sometimes on the internet when people say something is bad, a lot of this filters down everywhere and everybody thinks it's horrible too. So I wanted to kind of let this like heat down a little bit after all of the controversy and then let you guys know what I think about it. Very, very unique colors. I don't own a palette that like looks like this currently, and I think they're really nice for fall. I'm sure you guys know of Norvina. She is Anastasia's daughter, and she helps pretty much develops all of the products from Anastasia, tests them, make sure that they're amazing and ready. She was saying on Twitter that pros would love this palette because it is so highly pigmented. You don't need to use a lot. You need to use a lot less than what you would normally use when using an eyeshadow palette. Alright beauties, I think it's time to get into this tutorial, and if you guys are loving this look, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, like it, subscribe, share with friends. You know the drill, and without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, so jumping right into this look, you guys, I recently picked up the Farsali Unicorn Essence from Sephora, and I had no idea they were selling this in Sephora. I've seen this all over Instagram. I'm sure you guys have seen it everywhere. It says it's a skin-enhancing antioxidant serum, so I would think you could put this on at night during your nighttime skincare routine or in the morning. I have used it for the last few days as a primer, and I have been loving it. It really soaks into the skin really nicely, and it feels really good too when you blend it into your skin. So I'm gonna use this as a primer. The smell, on the other hand, smells kind of interesting. Don't really love it, but I do like it as a primer. Face is so red because I was in the pool today. I go outside for like 1 minute and I have like a sunburn on my nose. Also, if I sound a little nasally, I'm recovering from probably the worst cold I've ever had in my life. So I sound super congested, just so you know. I was sick for like 2 weeks when I returned back home from LA. I was still sick. So I'm just trying to get over it and like feel better. I just used the This Is Everything Lip Oil by NYX Professional Makeup. I love this, and it's kind of like a gloss, but you could use it to prep your lips. And I just like to blend it in so it's not like super glossy. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my brows. I've been using the Ready Set Brow Gel first lately before I start filling in my brows just to kind of feather them out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. And I love the way it looks because you can actually see the hairs like individually and it's not just kind of like a blocked off brow. So to fill in the brow, I'm gonna use the Precisely My Brow Pencil, and I'm gonna use the shade number 4. This is from Benefit, by the way. I'm gonna go in between the little hairs of the brow and just kind of draw in new hairs, and this is gonna look really natural looking and full. It's also kind of nice to do them like this because they're not so perfect, and you don't have to be so like perfect with them. Like, they look good if they're not perfect. So we got the brows on, the skin is prepped, ready to jump into this palette. Now, I do know from a lot of reviews and from a lot of things people have said this palette has hella fallout. To prevent anything from happening that's gonna ruin the look, I'm gonna be using the shadow shields, and I'll show you guys how you can use them. They're really easy. A lot of makeup artists use these. So how they work is you just kind of place them underneath the eyes. They're like a little sticker, and you can just place them right here. And I don't want to make my eye makeup too straight or like perfect or anything like that because I really want this to be blown out. So I'm not gonna put it like up against the eye like that. I'm just gonna kind of move it down a little bit just so that it catches any fallout if there is any. Which, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I hope there's not. But if there is, this is gonna protect it. Just like that. So I'm first gonna prime my lids using the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. And this is an Eden. I've been using this primer. I love it. I feel like it is a lot like the Shape Tape that I use as an eyeshadow primer, but I still think it's a really good eye primer. Focus on me. So the palette looks like this. It's in like a navy blue kind of like a teal packaging, honestly. And then it says Subculture. When you open it up, it does have the same similar packaging to Modern Renaissance. This one's pink, obviously this one's more teal. My palette looks like this when you open it. Looks really nice. I don't see anything looking any different than what it normally looks like. I don't see any messed up shadows or anything to complain about. I'm actually gonna use the brush that's in here because that's what it's here for. I know a lot of people don't really like this brush, but honestly, I do like it, so I'm gonna use it. Okay, the first shade I'm gonna grab is Fudge, which is the brown in the palette. And all I'm gonna do is lightly press into it. I literally pressed into it twice. And this is what it looks like as I press into it. So it is very, very pigmented, very. So you don't really need to pick up much. And that's what Norvina was saying, is that this is a super pigmented palette and you don't need to dig into it to get any eyeshadow on your brush. So you just need to lightly dab it in. Not her exact wording, but you know what I mean. This is insanely pigmented, very. So I'm gonna place this shade on the outer corner and also the inner corner of the eye. Not experiencing any fallout whatsoever. Now I'm gonna take the other side of the brush and I'm just gonna kind of blend this out, this harsh edge. So far I'm not seeing any fallout, and the shades seem to be having a little trouble blending this out. The shade Fudge. I'm gonna switch brushes real quick and see if this helps me blend this out a little bit more because I am having just a tiny bit of trouble. Yeah, it's much better. So now you wanna go in and just blend away any harsh edges. And I did pack the shadow on pretty heavily. So I'm gonna grab a little bit more of that shade Fudge and just pack that on the outer corner a little bit further. This shade really deepens, like, wow. So I can see why people have a lot of trouble blending it because you don't need a lot. I think that when you over apply maybe one of the shadows, you're gonna come across a little bit of blending issues. So far, I am experiencing a lot of pigmentation with these shadows to the point that you really do have to be careful when applying them because they deepen so easily. I'm lightly touching it into the shadow pan, like I'm barely touching it. This is the amount of kick up I'm getting off of the pan right now, which isn't much, it's not going anywhere, but I just wanted to show you guys. So now I'm gonna pick up the shade called Untamed in the palette. This is like a green. I'm gonna mix it in with a little bit of Destiny and Axis. I'm just gonna mix all three together and apply it to the center of my lid. That is some intensity. And I am using the brush that comes in the palette and it seems to be applying it pretty well. I don't have any fallout, which is just very, very odd considering a lot of the other YouTubers and beauty vloggers who have reviewed this have said there's like a lot of fallout and kick up. I don't see any of that as I'm doing this. Like literally there's nothing at all. You could see my shadow shield's really white. You would see it. There's really no fallout that I've been noticing. Very interesting. I love the color. And now I'm gonna go in and grab this really beautiful, it's almost like a yellowy green. Looks kind of iridescent in a way. It's called Electric. I'm gonna pop this right on the center of the lid. I'm just gonna use my fingertips to apply it. Ooh, it's so pretty. There's like sparkles in it. I would recommend going in with your finger for this one because you can really see all of the fine glitter in it. When you top Electric over the matte greens, it almost makes it like a much more brighter green. It's like a mermaid green. It kind of reminds me of my nails. So far, I'm really loving it, but I do think I need to go in and just blend a few things out. So I want to grab the shade New Wave, which is like a mustard, almost like an orangey yellow, and I'm going to use this to kind of blend things out. What you really need to look out for when using this palette is you just have to be really careful that you don't pick up too much. Because I literally put way too much and now this is like all over my eye. I feel like I'm getting a lot of patchiness over here in this area, so I hope I can really clean that up because right now I feel like I applied way too much of the shade New Wave. That's where things went wrong for me. So I'm gonna take the shade Cube, which is the lightest shade in the palette, and mix it with a little bit of Dawn to hopefully go in and clean this up a little bit. The shade called Cube, it It kind of looks like a duochrome color. It goes on, like it looks white in the pan, but it's actually almost like a, what can I describe this as? It's like an orangey, like pinky shift. It's very, very pretty. I feel like it looks a lot better after I put Cube in the brow bone. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these bad boys off. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply some mascara. I'm gonna be using the Monsieur Big by Lancome. I saw somebody applying this in Ulta and their eyelashes looked so amazing, so I had to get it. So I'll keep you guys posted on if this is my new favorite mascara, but so far I think it's amazing. I feel like the shadows are just so pigmented that you really have to be very careful when applying them, because I went in with the shade New Wave. Like, I didn't realize how much I was picking up, but I really did pick up a lot. And you can barely see that I touched it. There's just some lashes that I just cannot stop with, and I love these so much. I think KoKo lashes are my favorite brand of lashes I've ever used. But this style in particular is just so pretty. I love it. It's very wispy. I'm really, really feeling this green. I think this green is so, so pretty. And I love that they did greens in this palette. I think it makes my eyes look so much more like brown, and it really brings them out. So I actually really love this. I think it's really pretty. I don't know, so many people hate it. It's like, I don't know what it is they hate about it so much. I think it's just the fact that the shadows are so pigmented that it's really easy to mess up by over applying. So this is what the palette looks like after I just used it. There's like not any kick up at all. I don't notice anything. And it looks good to me. I mean, I didn't have any fallout at all either under my eyes. These shadow shields are pretty intense. Like, I took them off and it's a little bit red under my eyes. So just so you guys know, do not press these down too hard or they will really give you redness under your eyes, because now my eyes are red, which sucks. So just be careful with these. They're kind of intense. And honestly, I don't use them that much. I just used them today because I was worried about the fallout. So I'm gonna be using a Lancome foundation today. This is the IDOLE Ultra Wear Makeup Stick. IDOLE, I think that's what it's called. This is in the shade 110 Ivory. So I'm gonna use this. I already have my primer on. I've actually never used this before. I just got matched and I really wanted to try this because it feels so soft. Like when you apply it, I applied it to the back of my hand and it felt like amazing. So to blend it out, I'm gonna use my Clarsonic Mia 2, and this has the rotating foundation brush head on it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and blend it out. Oh my gosh, it like blends in perfectly to my skin. Like, this is a really good match for me. I always go a little bit lighter with my foundation because I do put on so much bronzer. So I usually go a little lighter than what my skin color is. It literally looks so much like your skin. I don't even see it sitting on my skin. Like, I wouldn't even know I'm wearing foundation right now because it is so beautiful. I'm gonna keep wearing this and let you guys know how I like it, but I did apply a little bit more. So I'm gonna go in with concealer. I'm gonna use the Tarte Shape Tape, and this is in Fair Neutral. This is actually really light, but I'm just gonna lightly put it under my eyes because it is so light. I usually use the color light. I just said light like 5 times, but you get it. Oh my goodness, I cannot get over how good the Mia 2 blends out foundation. Oh my gosh, it is so, so nice. I love it. I've tried other foundation brushes. They leave a lot of lines. This one does not. And it just blends, like, honestly, like a dream. It feels so good too when you apply it. It's not like rough on your skin. Now I'm gonna go in and set my whole face using this dual finish powder from Lancome. I did just buy this along with the foundation. And it smells so good. I went into Ulta wanting to buy like some hair care stuff, like more Redken stuff. And I ended up buying like a bunch of makeup. So this was something that I bought. Looks good all over the face, which is kind of rare. I have tons of powders and I can't really use them under my eyes and all over my face, but I feel like this really set everything and also like really brightened my face a little bit. So I'm gonna go in and bronze up the skin. I'm gonna use my KoKo Collection by Kylie Cosmetics face palette. I love this because it has like everything you need in it. It has 2 highlighters, a blush, and a bronzer, but I'm gonna use this bronzer because this is such a beautiful color. It looks really good on my complexion because it isn't too like orangey or dark. And I feel like it blends so easily too, like into the skin. to go up pretty high with my bronzer because it really like lifts the face. Instead of going down, I just like to go kind of up. And I really love that there's already a blush in here, so I'm just gonna use the blush that is in this palette. It's kind of like a peachy color. I'm just gonna like dust that on the tops of the cheeks. Like a watermelon color. It's really pretty for like end of summer. Love colors like this. Because we use the Subculture palette, I kind of want to keep everything cohesive. So I'm going to go in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills So Hollywood Illuminator, which, I mean, I love this highlighter. Obviously, it's amazing. It's like almost broken, falling apart. Oh yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Literally makes your skin look wet. I love this color. This is So Hollywood if I didn't mention it, but I love all of the other ones too. I think the lighter one is also really pretty. It's called Starlight, and it's more of like a silvery one. This one's kind of gold, but I feel like it looks really nice with this look. And I'm actually gonna take a little bit of this highlighter and just pop it into the inner corner of the eye, just to kind of make everything look all kind of golden-ish. As the brow bone, just a little pop of gold. So we're gonna quickly finish off the under area of the eye, the lower lash line, and I'm gonna be using the NYX Professional Makeup Jumbo Eye Pencil, and this is in the shade Rocky Mountain Green. I really wanted to keep this look very green, so I'm gonna go ham with this on the lower lash line. Like I'm gonna fill in the entire waterline with this, and I'm also gonna kind of drag it down a little bit. And going back into the Subculture palette, I'm gonna grab the shade Fudge, and I'm just going to blend that underneath the green. And taking a little bit of electric, I'm just gonna dab that into the lower lash line. And then once you got your lower lash line done, top it off with some mascara, and you're good to go. All right, so for lips, I'm gonna go in with So Hollywood by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this is a liquid lipstick. This is like a nude. This is so like an everyday color. It's really pretty. And now I'm gonna top it off with the gloss in Saint Tropez. And lastly, I'm gonna set my face with the Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. I feel like every time I use this, my skin looks so good, like my foundation, everything. All right, so the look is done, and we are missing one more thing. All right, you guys, so you got a tutorial, you saw the way this looked on my eyes, you saw how it applied. I'm gonna give you my final thoughts on this palette because I feel like after trying it, after seeing all these terrible reviews on it, so much stuff on Twitter, I mean everywhere, I don't think this palette is anything to drag someone over. I think that after reading a lot of things online, all of these bad reviews, it kind of gives a person a pre-existing notion that this is a really bad palette and people don't want to buy it, don't want to use it because it is hard to use. I will say this palette needs to be used in a different way than you normally use an eyeshadow palette, which you shouldn't have to do that, but with this palette, it's just very pigmented, very, very pigmented that you barely even touch into the shadow and you have full coverage. I mean, you can get all over your eye with just one swipe. So what I would say to you guys, if you do purchase this palette, be ready to use half of what you normally use. You do not need to dig into these pans ever, like to get any sort of color payoff. And I will say, if you do over apply the shadow, it's gonna be a lot harder to blend out. What I noticed is when I went in with a lot of it, it made things a little patchy. So I would suggest going in little by little and just building as you go. And try not to pick up a lot. Like, don't do what you usually do with your palettes where you like dig in. I know if you're like me, I go crazy with eyeshadow. I want my eyeshadow to show up in pictures, to show up in person. So I usually go in with a lot of eyeshadow, but with this palette, you do not need to do that at all. This is definitely a different formula than the Modern Renaissance. It is a lot more pigmented. I think the colors are beautiful. Didn't notice any like sort of fallout on my eyes, which is what is the common case with a lot of people that purchase this palette. They say that they have tons of fallout, but I didn't have any and I didn't experience anything like that. They also mentioned kick up, that these pans produce a lot of like dust and kick up from you dipping into them. But as you can see, this is the palette after I've used it, after my complete look, and honestly it doesn't barely even look touched. And I don't see any kick up on the palette at all. There's talk about if some of these batches were bad and that's why some of these palettes didn't really make the cut for some people. But personally, me, I feel like the batch that I have is amazing and I don't experience anything that I've read online. I will be sure to list my batch number below. I definitely think that this is one of the good batches, if that is a case here. Nothing to drag the company over or to say that this sucks. I do think it's a good palette and I will keep using it, and I'm gonna see what other looks I can create with it. But overall, love the greens. I like that this palette was kind of like the cool tone sister to the Modern Renaissance. It's nice to have both, and I think it's beautiful shades for fall. Green is just so pretty and I love it on my brown eyes. So I would definitely say if you want to try it out, do it, because even if you don't like it, if you purchase it from Sephora, you can always return it within a time period. So say you get it, you hate it, or you don't like it, you can always return it. Don't think that you're stuck with it. A lot of people don't know that and they end up keeping palettes and makeup that they don't even like. All right, beauties, hope you love this makeup look, and if you do love these green vibes going on, then be sure you like this video, subscribe, and share with all your friends. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of like review today, and if you want me to do more, let me know. And if you would like for me to do a makeup tutorial using the Modern Renaissance, which is like the sister of Subculture, let me know, because I think this one is really beautiful too, and this is like a go-to everyday palette. Love it. So let me know down below what you would like to see next. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next tutorial.